Ray was home to a burgeoning movement of Ismaili missionaries, and the young Hassan was converted to the doctrine at the age of 17, eventually swearing allegiance that same year to the Fatimid Caliphate in Cairo. It was in Cairo that Hassan studied in depth with leading missionaries and clerics of Ismailism, eventually earning a reputation as one of the most fervent and devoted disciples of the Ismaili creed. Accounts vary as to his journeys from the age of 17 until his return to Persia in 1081. Was he imprisoned? Persecuted? One account tells of Hassan's meetings with a group of heterodox Muslims in Syria, where he was trained in the principles of magic and sorcery. One thing is for certain, upon his return, Hassan settled within the Elburz mountain range where, after establishing several Ismaili communities, he drew the ire of Nizam al-Mulk, Grand Vizier of the Seljuk Empire, prompting his retreat deep into the mountains of Alamut in 1088. It was at Alamut in 1090 that Hassan formulated his grand strategy, to formulate a clandestine army and religious order of Idayan, in Arabic, literally, the men who accept death, devoted to the expansion of the Nizari Ismaili creed, structured in a hierarchical and initiatory structure. Hassan served as the secretive and omniscient Grand Master of the order for 35 years until his death in 1124, during which time it is said he only left his quarters twice to observe from his impenetrably constructed fortress known as the Eagle's Nest, the heavens from its rooftop. Below the Grand Master served several of his trusted chiefs and strategists known as the Grand Propagandists, charged with disseminating the Grand Master's orders. Beneath these, served the propagandists, who were charged with recruiting men from outlying villages into both the Nizari Ismaili creed and, should their devotion be loyal enough, the order itself. The Rafiqs, are companions of the order, and finally, the Lasics, or adherents themselves. It is from the Lasics that the Grand Propagandists personally elect to train in order to become the most feared and reviled assassins of their times, targeting not only rival Muslim sects, including the Sunni Seljuk Empire, who were all but decimated by Hassan and his order, who swore an oath to revenge the Grand Master's persecution, but also invading Christians and allies during the First Crusade. It is worth noting that there is strong evidence that the Hashishin made direct contact with the Knights Templar, of whom we will discuss in the following chapter. Each convert to the order was expected to go through a series of 9 initiatory degrees. In the first, the pupil was thrown into a state of confusion, through analogy and teaching, towards the tenets of his previous religious and political convictions. This is the source of the maxim, "Nothing is true, all is permitted," often attributed to Hassan. Although there is no documentation stating that Hassan uttered these words, its popularization is largely due to the writings of countercultural icon William S. Burroughs. At this point, the pupil was so disoriented by the dissection of his beliefs that he had no point but to submit to the blind obedience of his teacher.